YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. And after I was thinking about that battle that I lost against Carthage with Syracuse a couple videos back, I'd been thinking about the scare effect and how I haven't tried a scare army again in a little while. And I brought Egypt. And the reason I did this is because Egypt actually has a couple of potential scare units, and that would be Elephants and Sobek Cultist. If you have the Beast of War DLC. If you don't have the Beast of War DLC, then you have access to the Elephants. Camels have a scare effect on horses, but not on infantry, which can also be very useful, though. So I brought this army here, and this is not going to be what people probably expect as a typical Egyptian army, especially going up against Rome. However, my opponent brought kind of a somewhat odd Roman army here. He's gone heavy on spearmen and gone light on horsemen. And then he has a very capable infantry corps of 3 legionnaires, backed up, or 3 or 4, I couldn't remember, backed up by 3 Praetorians. So he's got a very capable infantry corps. Yeah, legionary cohort, legionnaires. So he's got 3 legionnaires, legionary cohort. And some of you are always getting on to me like, it's not a legionnaire, they're not French. Look, right here on my screen, legionnaires, or I guess you could say legionaries. Legionaries? Legionary cohort. I mean, I understand you all are saying that legionnaires is a word for like the French Foreign Legion like members. I get it, but I know it may not be grammatically correct or dictionary correct, but you know where I came from, you called them Roman legionnaires. It was just kind of the way we did it. I'm not trying to refer to something French, and if I remember, I'll say legionary. So see, legionaries. But I'm most certainly not referring to the French Foreign Legion, and it's not. Yeah, I understand there's a difference, but. And I'm not trying to say that I don't appreciate your comment, but I mean it's just not going to be something I probably remember, just to throw it out there. I think you all know how I get forgetful sometimes. So, my army, 2 Ptolemaic Cav, 2 Citizen Cav, a Camel Spearman, 4 Galatian Swordsmen, 3 Galatian Royal Guard, 3 Egyptian Archers, Sobek Cultist, and then my general, my general's out in one of the Ptolemaic Cav. So, let me go ahead and slow things down here for just a second. So my opponent's approaching in a very blocky defensive formation, and this is not necessarily the best formation, but the Romans are very tough in tight quarters, and they're capable. The problem is that this is going to make it easier for me to get an additional scare effect on his men, which would be outflanking, because basically what I can do is just pin him with a few units and see his whole army kind of gets caught in a compacted formation like this, and then that allows me to fling in other units from the flank, go for an encirclement. And what my plan is here when I see this, so I see what my opponent's doing and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a plan here. So I'll interrupt the charge of his Praetorians with my 2 Citizen Cav, and then try and remove them. They'll probably die, but it's a risk I'm willing to take at this point, because my Galatian Royal Guard has a way better charge. And even though they'll have a better charge in their win, I don't want the Romans to get any charge. I want them to just get clean thwacked on the charge by my Galatian Royal Guard, because otherwise the longer these guys get to fight and stay in the fight, the more danger I'm in. One thing I did forget to do was go ahead and move up my Sobek Cultist right now, so that's a mistake, but you're going to see me go ahead and shoot flaming arrows into the Romans. This is going to have a big time morale dip on their men, so look, all the way down to 55 morale on the Romans, which takes on the Praetorian Guard, which takes them all the way down to the morale of a standard unit. So this is bad for the Romans to have that kind of morale blow. And let's go ahead and hit play and watch what's happening. So see, Citizen Cav does its job. I start trying to extricate it. It doesn't go real easily, of course, because of the recent patches, but look at this. Roman infantry going to get clean countercharged by Galatians. And then same thing here. Just got my Galatians charging in. Romans dropping very quickly. Fire arrows continue to fly. My 3rd Galatian Royal Guard coming in. And then notice how my Galatian swordsmen are already ready to come in from the flanks, and then my cavalry is hovering on the flanks as well. It forces his skirmishers back, and my opponent is already in a very tough position. He lost a unit of legionnaires. His Praetorian Guard here is getting chopped down fairly well, and these guys too. But see the fire arrows again come in, and then look, a Praetorian Guard wavering at almost 90 men remaining with raised banner on. That's the scare effect. See the flaming arrows did that, and then the outflanking. See how this unit got around their flank? And they routed because of it. So an extremely tough unit getting routed. And again, just from the fire arrows, my Sobek Cultists aren't even within range. I'm just now moving them up because that's a huge mistake on my part. Imagine if the Sobek Cultists would have been here. But yeah, look at this. Praetorians now wavering because this other one routed. My camel spearmen back here to meet all these routing troops and to cut them down so they can't come back into the fight. And then check this out. His men get engaged. Ptolemaic cav coming in with the rear trample charge. This is going to be abso-stinking-lutely brutal. Just get hammered. That is what shock cav is for right there. Rear charges like that, you're going to get a lot of kills. You can see my guys, they're racking up those kills. Plus, again, look, scare effect, 109 in the legionary cohort, but they're now affected by my Sobek cultist as well, probably. Flaming arrows pouring in. Look at that whole Roman army just in complete disarray there. So the scare effect on Rome 2 is very real and very powerful. So when I brought these archers, most people would have seen these Egyptian archers and just been like, man, that's going to be a wasted unit against the Romans. They can't take down any of the Roman skirmishers. They can't kill the Roman infantry. Just a waste of a unit. I didn't bring them for anything but the fire arrows, and possibly for elephant protection if the Roman decided to bring elephants, though I haven't seen a lot of Roman elephant units recently. So just for the fire effect, and look how, I mean, these guys were like MVPs almost. You saw how quick those Praetorian Guard routed. Galatian Royal Guard are very good, and might possibly be able to beat a Praetorian Guard head-on, but they're not wildly better. And so, but you see how I was able to wrap so many of them up just by using that scare effect. So let's go ahead and end the replay, and I'll show this to you. So yeah, look at my Galatian Royal Guard. I mean, they went up against Praetorians and Legionnaires in the center. That's a lot of kills considering how short the fight was. And I'm not saying any of this to be mean to my opponent, by the way. He made some mistakes there, but I mean, to be honest, if I were using his Roman army, I wouldn't have been that concerned about the scare effect here either. I mean, those archers really do impair your men a great deal. And look, 2 kills on each of them, that's it, because it's firing flaming arrows. But these guys are responsible for the death, basically, of most of this infantry. And because these Galatian swordsmen got to the flanks, they got more kills than they would have going straight against Roman infantry. Camel Spearmen, this is the one that was hitting those archers and then taking out all the routing units. If my opponent had used his cavalry, I think this was hidden somewhere, then these guys would have helped frighten them as well. And again, you saw that these guys were already routing, but when I got that Sobek cultist close enough to where it came in range of some of them, that scare effect from the Sobek cultist just really finished the chain route of his army. Now, if you were to do something like I did right there and not have some units behind their lines, and this is particularly, I brought the Camel Spearmen for a couple of reasons. One, if I ended up in a cav fight, I could use it to create that kind of chain route on the flank with this cav. And then 2, this unit can then get behind his lines. It's not heavy enough to do rear charges or to take cavalry head on, but it is perfectly capable of hunting down routing units and skirmishers, so it serves a dual purpose. So in this case, this plan worked out really good. I can't say that it'll work for you every single time, but the ability to put those fire arrows in with a rush army or flaming javelins or however it is you want to do it, a flaming missile is going to cause a massive morale drop. And if you combine that with other more typical morale drops like outflanking, or even better with another scare unit like an elephant or a Sobek cultist, it's just going to be brutal. The enemy's going to have no chance. Now keep in mind, combining flaming arrows in the same vicinity as your own elephants may not be a good plan. If you're going to do that, you may want to shoot your flaming arrows before your elephants get there and then cease fire. Flaming arrows or not, elephants are a big target, and shooting your own missiles into the vicinity of your own elephants is probably going to do more damage to them than it will your opponent. So something also to be aware of. But yeah, this was the Ptolemaic cav here that got the rear charge. 51 Romans killed for a Ptolemaic cav without a single loss here. And so, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And again, a rear charge causes a morale penalty. Outflanking causes a morale penalty. Those morale penalties add up, and when a unit's morale hits 0, basically, it routes from off the battlefield. It doesn't matter whether it's a Praetorian Guard or anything else. So in this case, hopefully this is a good example to you of how to take advantage of some of those special effects on Rome 2. I say special effect, not the graphics-wise, but the special unit effects. Sobek Cultist, not a dangerous unit in and of itself, but it is dangerous if you impart that scare effect at the right moment. And same thing with these Egyptian archers. Not a very dangerous unit in and of itself, but the scare effect is dangerous. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this one. Honestly, this worked out better than I thought it would, partly because my opponent was a little bit bunched up, but it still could have worked in theory. Just disrupting a certain section, hitting him with a hard infantry charge timed with the flaming arrows, you get a chain route in one spot, and that's all you need to do to bust through and then finish off the fight elsewhere. So hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.